You already saw the title of the video, so let's just get right into it.
Making her thoughts. Making her thoughts. Making her thoughts. Making her thoughts. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Miki, and I talk about the Barbie movies in chronological order. Today is all about Barbie as the island princess. The movie begins with Saji and Azul finding this little girl on the island's shore. They don't know who she is or how she got here. Beside her is a box of treasures and jewelry with Ro written on it. So they decide to call the girl Ro. Ro grows up with the other animals on the island, completely isolated from modern society, but somehow still wears makeup on for some reason. And we have a new friend to the mix. Tika, the elephant, for whom I will not be tolerating any slander, thank you very much. Everything is fine and well on their island until these two guys show up. It's love interest time! He is a prince, Antonio, and this is his friend, the royal scientist, Fraser. I should clarify that Antonio is the love interest. They get into a pretty nasty situation as they're about to be eaten by crocodiles, but Rose saves them by talking to them and asking them politely not to eat the men. As a thank you, Antonio invites Ro back to his land, Apollonia, because of course, you meet a girl on an island and she saves you from crocodiles by literally talking to them. You want to bring her back, right? Ro is quite hesitant at the offer. After all, she's happy on the island, but at the same time, it could mean she gets the chance to finally understand her past. The only thing she remembers is being caught up in a storm, and she also remembers part of a lullaby. So she decides to go, but she takes her friends with her. We meet Antonio's parents, the king and the queen. The king is disapproving of his son's need to keep exploring, although we learn from his wife that he used to be an explorer himself back in the day. Of course, they are surprised to see him coming back with a girl who is supposedly able to talk to animals, and she also brings a red panda, a peacock, and a baby elephant. Antonio falls in love with Ro, and the feeling seems to be mutual, but the girl runs off after she witnesses a conversation that Antonio is betrothed to Luciana, the daughter of Queen Ariana. It's a marriage that is supposed to unify their kingdoms, and the law indicates that Antonio must marry a princess, something which Ro doesn't seem to be. Antonio didn't know of the engagement, and he rushes after Ro to apologize, asking her to stay, which she decides to accept. Antonio wants to convince his parents to let him marry Ro, but they don't accept his request. Later, we find out Ariana is, in fact, the villain of this film. She has a musical moment where she tries to make Luciana accept the marriage. The thing is, Luciana noticed a few things. One, her and Antonio don't really have much in common. And two, he loves Ro, and Luciana would want to marry someone who loves her, to which her mother says love isn't important in a marriage. In fact, Ariana later admits she married a wealthy old man to inherit his fortune after his death, which happened literally 3 days after their wedding, and had Luciana simply because she had learned the king and the queen of Apollonia were having a son. You think that was it? No, 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 it gets worse. So, Ariana and her parents used to work at the castle of Apollonia and lived there. Her family plotted to kill the king and the queen to take the throne for themselves. They were caught and exiled, obviously, so Ariana wanted revenge. What was the revenge, you ask? Well, have a daughter, Luciana, and have her marry Antonio so she will poison the cake on the wedding day so that the royal family dies and Luciana becomes queen. Then Ariana can manipulate things behind the scenes. At the ball, Ariana notices that Antonio and Ro are getting dangerously close, so she pressures the king and the queen to hurry up the wedding. Antonio confronts his father over the marriage and gives up his crown to be with Ro. If being king means letting the woman he loves go, he would rather not be king. Antonio goes to the greenhouse where Ro decided she wanted to sleep because it reminded her of home, to leave her a note and meet him in the rose garden so they can flee together. Tika, however, hides the note because she is afraid she will lose Ro. Ariana poisons the animals in the kingdom with sunset herbs, which basically puts animals to sleep with no way of waking them up. This will, in turn, kill the animals from starvation, dehydration, or both. But Ariana makes it seem like it was Ro's fault, that the foreign stranger from the island poisoned the animals, so Ro and her friends are thrown in jail. Ro actually knows how to make an elixir for the herbs, but nobody will listen to her. They even put those same herbs in the prison food, which Azul eats and falls asleep. Antonio fights with his father again for imprisoning Ro. He seems to be the only person to believe she is innocent. The king proposes that he will let Ro and her friends go only if he marries Luciana. Given that he wouldn't want Ro to stay there forever, he accepts. So they are put on a ship to be sailed back to the island. But Ariana is one step ahead and she bribes the captain to throw them off the ship so they drown at sea. On the ship, Tika admits to having hidden Antonio's letter from Ro and apologizes. She does say she was afraid she would lose Ro if she went with him, but Ro assures her that just because she finds other people in her life, it doesn't mean the love for her will be any less. In fact, love grows. They try to get a lifeboat, get back to the castle and save the animals, but the captain sees them and throws them off the ship. In this moment, as Ro is in the cold water, she remembers more of the storm in her memories. She fell off a ship just like this one, and someone was calling out to her, but not as Ro, as Rosella. Dolphins help them back to the shore, and Ro rushes to the greenhouse to prepare a tonic for the sunset herbs. She finds out Ariana poisoned the cake with it too, so she goes to warn everyone. Of course, Antonio believes Ro, but they need proof, so they ask Ariana to eat the cake, but Luciana actually steps in to say that her mother instructed her not to eat the cake no matter what. This was proof enough. That and the fact that Ariana runs away. Antonio and Ro go after her and manage to throw her where the pigs stay. Upon their return, the king and queen thank Ro for her bravery and they apologize for not giving her a chance before. Ro was actually going to leave since she believed Antonio loved Luciana until Antonio actually goes back to Ro and confesses his feelings. Ro worries about the princess, but she doesn't mind. She just wants them to be happy. Ro is welcomed into her new family and says her real name is actually Rosella. This conversation is overheard by a duchess who says she used to have a daughter with the same name. To test her theory, Ro begins to sing the lullaby she remembers, and the Duchess also knows it. At last, Ro has rediscovered her family in a gorgeous moment that never fails to make me cry. Antonio and Ro get married, and everyone lives happily ever after. I believe that this is one of the best Barbie movies. Its complexity and storytelling is amazing. But don't just take my word for it. Let's analyze it. One of my favorite characters from the Barbie films is part of this production. It's Luciana. Not only is she so sweet and her design is absolutely gorgeous, but she is also part of the reason Ariana gets caught. Yes, she has a horrible, vengeful mother who only gave birth to her to then use her as a puppet for her schemes, but Luciana is anything but that. From the very beginning, she wasn't on board with the marriage. For one, because it's rushed, but also because she saw Antonio loved Ro. It wasn't that he hated Luciana, but rather that he didn't bear those feelings for her. She wasn't even mad, really. She wanted them to be together because she also wanted a marriage with mutual love. When Ariana is accused of having poisoned the cake, she steps up. Since her mom told her not to eat the cake, which at first Luciana mostly thought it was one of her mother's weird rules. But then it all made sense. She kept her from eating the cake because it was poisoned. Ro had been accused of poisoning the animals of Apollonia, so not many believed her claim, other than Antonio. However, Antonio wasn't that credible either. His dad knew he loved Ro and wanted to marry her instead of Luciana, so this could have been a plot to escape the arranged marriage. But Luciana didn't have anything to win if she admitted it. If anything, she had a lot of things to lose. That's why her claim was so important. It helped catch the criminal while also getting Antonio and Ro to regain their credibility in the eyes of the people, but especially those of the king and queen. Antonio is also a great character. He sees Ro for the first time on the island and he is intrigued and wanted to learn more. Others felt Ro must have gone insane by living on the island, but he didn't. He also gave up his royal status to be with her, but she was imprisoned, and the only way to set her free was by marrying Luciana. He chose to let Ro go. The sweet Luciana, of course, doesn't mind setting Antonio free after her mom is caught. She knows very well that they are meant for each other, and she will find her special someone too. Now, Tika. I know there's mixed opinions on Tika, but let me explain my stance. Tika wasn't with Saji and Azul when they discovered Rose stranded, but we do see her later. And Tika is the same size as Ro. Tika is a baby, okay? Tika is a baby elephant. We know nothing of her parents, and it appears like she's only ever known her friends. Tika likely sees Ro as a mother figure. Ro is the one to sing Tika to sleep. Ro is the one to calm her down when she's afraid or sad. Yes, Ro is very young too, probably not over 20, but she is older than Tika. When they landed in the city, Ro was excited. It was a new place, but full of familiar figures since they looked like her. Moreover, she had a reason to be there. She knew she wasn't born on the island, but knew nothing else of her past. Perhaps this trip could help her find her parents, which it did. Tika, on the other hand, is a kid in a strange place with nothing to cling onto but her 3 friends for something familiar. I agree, Tika hiding the letter from Antonio was bad. But once again, she is a baby who feared basically her mom, would be taken away from her. Guilt consumes Tika and she confesses and even regrets it. But you see Rose's reaction? She isn't mad. Just confused at first, but then teaches Tika that love doesn't divide but grows. Ro knows Tika is just a kid who is still learning. Her actions did lead to some pretty nasty consequences, but I feel that they would have ended up in this situation with or without Tika hiding the letter. The songs in this film were out of this world. I love them so much. It's a straight to DVD musical, but the production is so good. Also, can we talk about how dark Ariana's past is? Plus her plans, it's actually insane. The final moment when Ro finds her mom gets me emotional every time. Her finding out the song, discovering her family. I feel like Hobby and Rapunzel when Hugo finally acknowledges her daughter as a true mighty dragon. All in all, an amazing film. There's depth to the characters. They can be flawed at times, but they make up for their mistakes. And that is something that is great with these older Barbie movies, where the characters are allowed to make mistakes and grow throughout the film. The story builds up nicely to the reveal, and there's gorgeous messages that help tie the whole thing together with a perfectly symmetrical pink sparkly bow. If you have any suggestions for future videos, write them in the comments. Otherwise, next video, I will cover Barbie Mariposa and her butterfly fairy friends. Until then, bye!